Imagine owning a jet before learning to drive, or bathing in honey with Beyoncé as your mom. Some billionaire kids live in golden bunkers, with butlers, private schools, and $50 billion fortunes. This is their real life, and it's crazier than fiction. We begin this countdown with a young man who has grown up in the shadows of power, wealth, and controversy, yet remains one of the most mysterious billionaire kids in the world. Barron Trump, the youngest son of former US President Donald Trump. Barron's childhood wasn't just privileged, it was presidential. While most kids were learning to ride bikes, he was riding elevators up to the 66th floor of the Trump Tower, where he lived in a 3-story penthouse dripping in gold, marble, and chandeliers inspired by the Palace of Versailles. Yes, Versailles, but with more security and less subtlety. He had an entire floor to himself. Bedroom, playroom, media room, all custom designed, and not just for fun. Melania, his mother, insisted on raising him like a young man of culture, speaking multiple languages, wearing tailored suits at home, and eating organic meals prepared by a personal chef. But in 2017, his life changed dramatically when he became the first child to move into the White House in over half a century. Suddenly, his playground was a historic mansion with a private movie theater, a full bowling alley, a tennis pavilion, and a fully staffed kitchen with a pastry chef on call. Not bad for middle school, but with great luxury came intense scrutiny. Barron wasn't just living in a political fortress, he was living in a bubble of security. The Secret Service didn't just protect him, they overshadowed him. His food was tested before every meal. Agents followed him into school. During a lockdown at a nearby supermarket, Barron was the only student escorted out of class by a fully armed agent. The rest of the kids? They stayed put. Despite being the most watched teenager in America, Barron kept an incredibly low profile. While his older siblings were building brands, giving interviews, and appearing at rallies, Barron was nowhere to be seen except walking silently behind his parents. It's like he was born into the spotlight, but trained to dodge it. Today, he's over 6'7", plays competitive soccer, and has developed an air of quiet confidence that many find intimidating. He's rarely photographed, he doesn't give interviews, and yet, he might just be the Trump with the most long-term potential. Will he become the next business mogul of the family? A quiet political force? Or just a ghost in America's dynastic power game? One thing's for sure, no kid grows up between a golden penthouse, the White House, and Mar-a-Lago without being groomed for something big. While Barron lives like a future king behind golden doors, the next kids on our list are already music royalty, and their lifestyle? Even more extravagant. Meet Blue Ivy, Rumi, and Sir Carter, the children of a couple whose combined net worth surpasses $2.5 billion. But forget the numbers. The way these kids live, it's high art, high fashion, and high expectations wrapped into one golden lifestyle. Let's start with Blue Ivy. At just 12 years old, she's already a Grammy winner, a VMA recipient, and a red carpet regular. She's not just a child star, she's a brand. She made history as the youngest person ever to win a BET award, and has appeared on multiple platinum albums, including Beyoncé's The Lion King, The Gift. And she's not lip-syncing, she actually owns songwriting credits and publishing rights. That means, while most kids are saving for college, Blue is cashing royalty checks. Her wardrobe? Custom made by Balmain, Gucci, and Alexander McQueen. Her accessories? We're talking about diamond-encrusted tiaras, miniature Hermes purses, and a $20,000 Cinderella carriage crib from her first birthday. One of her toys, yes, a toy, was an $80,000 diamond-studded Barbie. In her first birthday party, estimated cost over $200,000. But Blue isn't alone in the luxury. Her younger siblings, Rumi and Sir Carter, came into the world with a level of fanfare reserved for royalty. The couple reportedly spent $1 million on their nursery alone, including matching gold cribs and custom artwork. The family employs multiple nannies, each working 8-hour shifts per child. That's 24/7 elite-level care, literally a rotating staff like a 5-star hotel. Travel? The kids don't go on tour. They are the tour. They fly on Beyoncé and Jay-Z's $40 million private jet, stay in villas that cost more per night than most people's annual salary, and vacation in private islands rented out exclusively for the family. And when they're not in the air, they're in their Malibu mansion, estimated at $200 million, complete with private beach access, a recording studio, indoor and outdoor pools, and views of the Pacific that seem too cinematic to be real. But here's the twist. For all the extravagance, Beyoncé has spoken publicly about raising her kids with purpose. She wants them to understand legacy, identity, and discipline. while also being the most fashion-forward toddlers alive. It's a fascinating contrast, luxury beyond comprehension, grounded by a message of cultural pride and personal responsibility. These kids are more than heirs to a fortune. They're being positioned as the next generation of icons, and judging by how they're growing up, the throne will be in good hands. But while music royalty may rule the stage, the next family on our list built their empire with pure intellect, code, and a quiet fortune that spans generations. Not all billionaire kids grow up in gold-plated cribs or with names on album covers. Some are raised inside a fortress of discipline, intellect, and, well, a 66,000 square foot smart home. Welcome to the world of Bill Gates' children, Phoebe, Jennifer, and Rory. Their childhood wasn't built in a flash, it was engineered, literally. The Gates family lived in a high-tech mega mansion in Medina, Washington, known as Xanadu 2.0, a futuristic estate overlooking Lake Washington that took 7 years and over $60 million to build. Inside, a trampoline room, an underwater music system in the pool, and a 2,100 square foot library with a manuscript of Leonardo da Vinci's Codex Leicester that Gates bought for $30 million. The house automatically adjusts temperature and lighting based on who enters a room. Guests are given electronic pins that track their music preferences and room climate. Yes, this is a real house, not just a James Bond set. But despite this next level living, the Gates children were raised under strict rules. No cell phones until age 14. Screen time was limited. Even chores were mandatory. Bill wanted his kids to experience structure and humility, values often absent in the world of the ultra-wealthy. Jennifer, the eldest, is an accomplished equestrian and medical student. Phoebe, the youngest, attended Stanford and interned at Vogue. Rory, the middle child, is quietly pursuing computer engineering and is known as the most private of the three. Here's the twist. Bill Gates has publicly stated he will only leave each child a $10 million sliver of his $100+ billion fortune. Why? Because, in his words, he doesn't believe in spoiling children with unearned wealth. Instead, he's giving the majority of his fortune to philanthropy through the Gates Foundation. But don't feel too bad. Even with a modest $10 million head start, a Stanford degree, and the Gates surname, these kids are positioned to build empires of their own, minus the headlines, but with all the power. But while the Gates children were raised on modesty and Microsoft, our next billionaire dad prefers chaos, innovation, and kids with names that sound like encryption codes. What do you get when you mix a tech visionary, 5 private jets, and a naming style that sounds like it was generated by AI? You get the next generation of Musk, a growing tribe of children born into the intersection of code, chaos, and colossal fortune. Elon Musk, worth over $200 billion, is known for launching rockets into space, building tunnels beneath cities, and making cars that drive themselves. But his most unpredictable project? His kids. He currently has 11 children, and while their lives are largely private, the little we do know paints a picture of a childhood that looks more like a sci-fi series than a family photo album. Let's start with the name that broke the internet, X-A12. Pronounced X. His full name includes elements of mathematics, elvish spelling, and aircraft references. His siblings? They're named Exodarch, Siderail, and Technomechanicus, nicknamed Tau. It's less of a family tree and more like a NASA mission list. These children don't attend traditional schools. Instead, they're enrolled in Ad Astra, a private experimental academy founded by Musk himself where there are no grades, no traditional subjects, and where students are taught artificial intelligence, coding, ethics, and survival skills. Think of it as SpaceX for kids. When it comes to lifestyle, the Musk kids have options for private jets, access to a sprawling $35 million compound designed like a sci-fi fortress, and insider tours of Tesla factories, rocket launches, and AI labs. They're being raised not just to survive the future, but to build it. But behind the innovation, there's tension. Musk's child, Vivian, formerly known as Xavier, transitioned and publicly distanced herself from Elon. The split was sharp. Musk stated that she is no longer part of his life, a personal, painful rift that stands in contrast to the utopian vision he's crafting for the rest of his children. There's also a bizarre unpredictability to Elon's approach to parenting. In interviews, he admits to spending minimal time with his younger kids, preferring to engineer environments where they can grow independently just like his companies. He isn't a helicopter parent, more like a satellite one. And yet, the Musk children may be the most future-proof kids on Earth, intellectually equipped, technologically immersed, and raised by a man who's betting everything on Mars. Whether that's genius or madness, only time will tell. But if Elon Musk is raising engineers for Mars, The next billionaire on our list took a far more primal approach, starting with sharp knives, power tools, and a $50 billion inheritance. Bezos, founder of Amazon and one of the richest men in history, has kept much of his personal family life under the radar. But what we do know about his children, especially how he's raising them, is equal parts fascinating and eyebrow-raising. Jeff has 4 children, 3 biological sons, and 1 daughter adopted from China. Their names and most details are guarded, but Bezos has occasionally offered rare glimpses into their unconventional upbringing. His parenting philosophy? It's all about calculated risk. At age 4, his kids were allowed to play with sharp knives. At 7, power tools. According to Jeff, these were lessons in decision-making, independence, and building confidence. The average billionaire builds trust funds. Jeff builds survivalists. But don't mistake this for minimalist parenting. These children are being raised with the full force of the Bezos fortune behind the scenes, estimated at over $180 billion. Each child is expected to inherit approximately $50 billion. That's not pocket money. That's generational power on a global scale. Private jets, mega yachts, elite education, security teams, and access to Blue Origin space program are all part of the ecosystem they're growing up in. And of course, there's the Bezos estate portfolio, a vast collection of properties from Beverly Hills to Manhattan to Maui. These kids don't just visit the world, they may end up owning half of it. And then there's Bezos' daughter, adopted from China as an infant. While her life is private, it has become the subject of wild internet speculation conspiracy theories ranging from diplomatic symbolism to spy fiction. Of course, none of it has substance, but it highlights one truth. Even anonymity can't shield billionaire kids from becoming icons. While Jeff has stepped down as Amazon CEO, he's far from done. As he shifts his energy to Blue Origin and philanthropy, his children are quietly being prepared to manage empires with a handsaw in one hand and a stock portfolio in the other. But while Bezos teaches his heirs to survive with blades and boldness, the next children on our list are being groomed for something far older, far more sacred, and infinitely heavier: a crown. In a world of private jets, gold cribs, and Silicon Valley empires, there's a level of luxury that stands apart not because of wealth alone, but because of birthright. Welcome to Kensington Palace, home of Prince George and Princess Charlotte, the youngest faces of Britain's 1,000-year monarchy. They may be children, but they don't just come from money. They come from centuries of tradition, diplomacy, and expectation. Their futures aren't just privileged, they're pre-written. Prince George, born in 2013, is third in line to the throne of England. Princess Charlotte, 2 years younger, is already a global fashion icon. Her outfit sparked shopping frenzies across the UK. At just 9 years old, she's estimated to have a brand value of £3.6 billion. Yes, billion, because in royalty, even your socks are stock options. Their lives are filled with regal formality and breathtaking indulgence. George met President Obama in a monogrammed bathrobe at age 2. They've both attended royal parades, state banquets, and ceremonies where gold carriages and military escorts are the norm, not the exception. They live at Adelaide College, nestled within the Windsor estate, with access to multiple royal residences across the UK, including Amner Hall in Norfolk and Kensington Palace in London. Picture rolling gardens, hidden security details, and walls that whisper history. But behind the palace gates, their upbringing is surprisingly balanced, at least by royal standards. Their parents, Prince William and Princess Catherine, are intentionally raising them with normalcy in mind. That means home-cooked meals, chores, soccer in the backyard, and attending Lambrook School, where tuition costs over $25,000 a year per child. And yet, normal ends where legacy begins. George, even as a child, is being slowly trained in royal protocol, diplomacy, and military service. There's a centuries-old tradition that male heirs to the throne serve in the armed forces, which means one day, the future King of England may be saluting a general instead of giving the orders. Charlotte, on the other hand, has quickly gained global attention for her poise, confidence, and camera-ready charisma. The British press often compares her to Queen Elizabeth II, calling her the one to watch. And considering she's already outshining her brother at public events, they might be right. These royal children aren't just living in castles, they are the legacy. And while other billionaire kids inherit tech companies, oil fields, or record labels, these two inherit a kingdom and all the pressure that comes with it. But while the crown weighs heavily on George and Charlotte, the next heirs on our list live a very different kind of fantasy. One filled with soccer fields, supercars, seaside mansions, and a father called Cristiano Ronaldo. In the world of billionaire heirs, few carry the weight of greatness quite like the children of Cristiano Ronaldo. Because when your father is a 5-time Ballon d'Or winner, global icon, and walking fitness empire. You're not just born into wealth, you're born into a legacy. Cristiano Ronaldo's children, Cristiano Jr., Ava, Matteo, Alana Martina, and Bella Esmeralda, are growing up in a reality where private jets are family vans, seaside villas are weekend homes, and the pressure to succeed begins before they can spell championship. Take Cristiano Jr., the oldest. At just 14, he's already being groomed to become his father's successor on the field. He's signed with Al Nassr's youth team and earns $5,000 per month, making him one of the top 1% earners in the world for his age before finishing high school. His training sessions mirror his father's: early mornings, strict diets, daily drills, and of course, the expectation of greatness from the man he calls dad, and the world calls GOAT. But when they're not working on their footwork, the Ronaldo children live in unimaginable luxury. They divide their time between multiple multi-million-dollar properties: a sleek penthouse in Lisbon, a stunning villa in Marbella, an Italian countryside mansion, and a full building in Madeira dedicated solely to the family. Oh, and don't forget the $30 million retreat in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, outfitted with 24/7 room service, private chefs, and spa facilities. Not a hotel, a home. They vacation aboard a $7 million yacht, travel exclusively on a custom Gulfstream G650 jet, and attend events with elite celebrities, athletes, and heads of state. Some kids play with toy cars. Ronaldo's children drive mini Lamborghinis and Ferraris, not toys, but scaled down, battery-powered replicas costing more than the average used car. And yet, it's not all glam and glitter. In 2022, tragedy struck the family when one of the twins passed away during childbirth. Painful reminder that even in the highest towers of privilege, grief has no hierarchy. The loss left a permanent mark on Ronaldo and reshaped the way he approached fatherhood, shifting his focus from winning titles to building moments. Ronaldo has always said his children are his greatest trophies, and judging by the empire he's building around them, an empire of fitness, fashion, real estate, and global fame, he's determined to give them not just his fortune, but his fire. But while Ronaldo's children are being sculpted for glory, the next billionaire kids on our list live in a world built entirely for indulgence, where every birthday is a spectacle and Hello Kitty shows up in person. In the kingdom of modern fame, where influence is currency and excess is tradition, no royal court shines quite like the one ruled by Kim Kardashian and Kanye West. And their children, North, Saint, Chicago, and Psalm, are growing up in a world that's not just rich, it's curated. Let's start with their surroundings. The kids split their time between a $60 million minimalist mansion in Hidden Hills designed to look like a futuristic monastery and the occasional retreat to Kanye's Wyoming ranch, Kim's Palm Springs estate, or a private jet that doubles as a flying penthouse. Birthdays? Think less party and more production. For North's 10th birthday, the entire Beverly Hills hotel was transformed into a slumber party playground complete with tent beds, Hello Kitty mocktails, customized pajamas, and a cake that could have fed a wedding. And for Chicago's 5th, a full-blown Hello Kitty experience, with the actual mascot making a personal appearance. Yes, the cartoon flew in. Psalm's birthday was even more surreal. Their house was turned into a miniature fire station, complete with real firefighters, antique trucks, a Dalmatian puppy adoption center, a ball pit, and snack bars tailored to a 4-year-old's dreams, or a billionaire's impulse. These aren't just celebrations. They're immersive experiences created by a team of event designers, stylists, caterers, and sometimes security. And the luxury doesn't stop at parties. Each child reportedly has their own wing in the house, fully staffed with nannies, tutors, stylists, and in-home chefs. Their wardrobes include custom Balenciaga, Yeezy prototypes, and child-sized versions of Kim's most iconic fashion moments. Northwest, in particular, is already a fashion influencer in her own right. She sat front row at Paris Fashion Week, performed on stage with Kanye, and appeared in campaigns for Skims, all before turning 11. But of course, in the West household, luxury coexists with chaos. Kanye's public meltdowns, controversial outbursts, and unpredictable behavior led Kim to hire a full-time security team just to protect the children from their own father. At one point, Kanye even threatened to reveal the name of their school, prompting the school itself to reinforce security protocols and restrict press access. And yet, amidst the drama, one thing is clear: these kids are growing up in a bubble of extreme privilege, one designed by two cultural juggernauts who built global empires from image, influence, and reinvention. For North, Saint, Chicago, and Psalm, fame isn't an accident, it's the family business. While the West kids live in a world of curated fantasy and chaos, The next children on our list were raised by a man who embodies discipline, strength, and surprisingly, tea parties and tutus. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson is known globally as the embodiment of a strong action hero, a wrestling legend, and a tequila tycoon. But behind the scenes, the most powerful title he holds is far more tender: Dad. And when The Rock raises daughters, he doesn't just offer love, he offers the world. Simone, Jasmine, and Tiana Johnson are growing up with a lifestyle that fuses rugged luxury with fairy tale dreams. And in true Rock fashion, it's all delivered with style, security, and supersized spoiling. Simone, the eldest, has already stepped into the spotlight, literally following in her father's footsteps by becoming the youngest signee in WWE history. She performs under the name Ava Raine, and carries the legacy of 4 wrestling generations. But make no mistake, she's forging her own identity. While her father dominated the ring with raised eyebrows and electrifying punches, Simone is quiet, focused, and strategic. The dynasty continues, but with a new kind of power. His younger daughters, Jasmine and Tiana, live in a universe built just for them. At home in Georgia, they have access to a custom-built horse stable and riding arena because one of them became obsessed with ponies. The Rock responded like any billionaire dad might, by building an equestrian complex from scratch. Because why visit a ranch when you can own one? Vacations? Think private islands, luxury resorts, and a $20 million beachfront home in Hawaii. Transportation? The family jet, of course, but the most priceless moments are the quiet ones. Morning nature walks, fishing trips, hiking adventures, and yes, the occasional tea party with tiaras and tutus. There are photos, pink feather boats, glittery makeup, and a man who once played Hercules letting his youngest daughter paint his face like a unicorn. Legendary. But don't be fooled by the sweetness. This is still The Rock. Every element of their lives is guarded with military-grade precision. His properties are secured, his staff is vetted, and his daughters move through the world with private security and privacy. And through it all, Johnson has remained a vocal advocate for what he calls present parenting. Despite filming schedules, business deals, and global appearances, he prioritizes bedtime stories, breakfast duties, and preschool drop-offs. Being there, he once said, is the real flex. Simone may be entering the arena, Jasmine and Tiana may be climbing jungle gyms instead of red carpets, but one thing is clear: when your dad is The Rock, the world becomes your playground and your fortress. The Rock builds stables and princess castles, but the next billionaire dad on our list is building something far more futuristic: a legacy coded in algorithms, bunkers, and world-changing ambition. Most billionaire heirs are raised to inherit wealth, but Mark Zuckerberg isn't just building fortune for his daughter, she's designing the future they'll live in. Maxima and August Zuckerberg may not have gold cribs or front row seats at Fashion Week, but what they do have is something far more powerful: access to one of the most calculated, carefully architected upbringings on Earth. The Zuckerberg girls are being raised not in a mansion, but in a movement. Mark and his wife, Priscilla Chan, have pledged to donate 99% of their Meta stock, over $100 billion, to cure diseases, advance education, and improve global equality. Their children aren't being told they're rich, they're being told they're responsible. From early on, Mark emphasized that his daughters would grow up knowing the value of work, not luxury. He said publicly that he wants them to get jobs, do chores, and understand struggle. In fact, when they were still toddlers, he and Priscilla wrote them a letter explaining the reason behind their massive philanthropic pledge, essentially telling them, "You won't inherit wealth, you'll inherit mission." But mission doesn't mean mediocrity. The girls live in a $130 million compound in Palo Alto, built by acquiring 5 adjacent properties and connecting them with sleek walkways, smart gardens, and secure play areas. Their school is a high-tier private institution. Their family vacations involve private jets, backstage access to Taylor Swift concerts, and yachting off the coast of Italy aboard a $300 million mega yacht, the kind that makes James Bond films look underfunded. But the most fascinating piece of their future may be hidden underground. Zuckerberg has been quietly developing a fortified doomsday compound in Hawaii, built across 1,400 acres of pristine island land. At the center lies a sprawling mansion. Beneath it, a 5,000 square foot high-security bunker with blast-proof doors, its own food supply, energy grid, and medical unit. In a world where uncertainty looms large, Mark is building resilience this way. Some billionaire children are being raised to take over boardrooms. The Zuckerberg children are being raised to take over whatever's left. And while Maxima and August may one day lead through science, philanthropy, or innovation, today, they're still just little girls with bedtime routines, ballet classes, and a last name that quietly echoes through the future of humanity. Number one spot on our list belongs to a father who's built an empire through sweat, legacy, and loyalty. And his kids, they're not waiting to inherit greatness, they're already living it. When you think of power dynasties, you might picture castles, corporations, or code. But in the heart of Los Angeles, one family is building its legacy on hardwood courts, highlight reels, and generational greatness. LeBron James, known to millions as King James, isn't just one of the greatest athletes of all time. He's a blueprint for modern empire building. And the heirs to that kingdom? Bronny, Bryce, and Zuri James. Together, they form one of the most iconic next-gen families in sports and entertainment. Let's begin with Bronny, the eldest, born into a spotlight brighter than most adults will ever know. He's been under national media watch since age 10. By high school, he had endorsement deals, multi-million-dollar NIL valuations, and a social media following rivaling major celebrities. But Bronny didn't just ride his father's fame, he fought for his own path, earning a place on the USC Trojans basketball team, where he made headlines not just for his skills, but for his strength. In 2023, Bronny suffered a cardiac arrest during practice, a terrifying moment that could have ended everything. But he recovered, trained harder, and returned to the court. And in one of the most poetic moments in sports history, LeBron publicly stated his dream, to play alongside his son in the NBA. A father-son duo in the league has never happened before, but for LeBron, history is something you create, not wait for. Then there's Bryce, the middle child, taller, quieter, and according to many scouts, the more naturally gifted of the two. He moves with a calm confidence, unbothered by cameras, focused only on performance. At just 16, he's already receiving offers from top colleges and is being watched closely as a rising star in his own right. Two brothers, one legacy, and the potential to dominate back-to-back generations. And then comes Zuri, the youngest and arguably the most charismatic. She's already a media darling, known for her cooking show on YouTube, stylish fashion appearances, and precocious attitude. LeBron calls her his queen, and while she's just entering her teen years, it's clear she's being raised not just to inherit wealth, but to carry family name into new spaces, media, branding, and maybe one day, leadership. Together, the James kids live a lifestyle that's nothing short of regal. Private schools, custom sports, courts in their Beverly Hills mansion, courtside seats at every major NBA event, friendships with celebrities, influencers, and global icons, and behind it all, a father who's present, focused, and fiercely protective of the empire he's building not just for them, but with them. LeBron once said, "I'm just a kid from Akron," but his children? They're the first generation born into a kingdom he built from scratch. A kingdom made not just of money, but of work, heart, and the belief that greatness can be taught, shared, and multiplied. We've traveled from palaces to private jets, gold-encrusted cribs to underground bunkers, from the children of kings to the heirs of tech gods. But now, we pull back the curtain and take one last look at what all of this really means. These aren't just rich kids. They are the inheritors of dynasties, the products of unmatched power and privilege. Their playgrounds are palaces. Their vacations are yacht hopping across continents. Their birthdays rival movie premieres. Some are being raised to run billion-dollar companies. Others are being groomed to rule countries. And some just want to live quietly with their ponies and Hello Kitty cakes. For some, like Elon Musk's children, life is an experimental test of how to raise the minds that will shape humanity's future. For others, like the British royals, it's tradition, duty, and quiet pageantry passed down through centuries. Beyoncé's kids grow up surrounded by art, fashion, and applause. Bill Gates' children are trained for humility in a house that's bigger than a football stadium. There's no single blueprint for how billionaires raise their kids, but there is one thing they all share: access. Not just to things, but to time, protection, possibility, and people. The rules don't apply in this world, because these families wrote them. And yet, amidst all the privilege, these children live under extraordinary pressure. Some must carry legacies, others must escape them. Some are expected to build on brilliance, others are asked to fix the world. And some, like Bronny James, might do the impossible to live up to a legend while creating one of their own. What they choose to become, kings, inventors, icons, or rebels, remains to be seen. But make no mistake, these aren't just the children of the world's richest people, they are the next generation of power. If you enjoyed this video about the luxurious and expensive lifestyle of billionaires' kids, you'll definitely like this one about Adam Sandler's luxurious life. You'll be shocked to find out how many millions they cost. Don't miss it!